Hi, you're listening to She Shield, your one-stop pod for all topics personal safety. I'm your host, Sofia, and my goal is to help educate women and men on concealed carry, martial arts, and all topics self-defense. This episode is sponsored by Big Tech's Ordnance, your soon-to-be favorite retailer for all of your firearms needs. BTO believes in only selling high-quality gear for responsibly armed citizens, as well as providing pre- and post-sale support. BTO values firearms training and supports firearms instructors nationwide. They even pay for their own staff, their own staff to train with high-level instructors to ensure that when you as the consumer reach out, you are taken care of. Today, we have Tyler Tharp of the Synergy Training Group on the podcast. I'm so excited. Tyler and I got to meet at the Guardian Conference. Oh man, I always forget what month it is. It's last September.
Oh, that was September. Yeah.
Yes, September. Still kind of hot, but like we had some shade in Oklahoma,
Right.
so it was really nice.
Yeah.
But Tyler,
I mean, that's north for me, so it's still like not hot.
Okay. Right. It's perfect. Yes. And I'll get to see you there again this September. I'm so excited. Well,
absolutely.
If you don't mind, Tyler, I would love for you to introduce yourself to the listeners.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me. Like you said, we met up at the Guardian Conference, and I was like, "Oh, check out all these new kids on the block," and because I'm also the new kid on the block, and I really enjoyed talking to you and getting to know more about you, and we're still trying to get to know more about each other.
Absolutely.
Got to listen to about the Live Fire app, and that was really cool. Because it's done by someone that I've looked up to for quite a long time. But yeah, as you said, I'm Tyler. I am from Mississippi. I grew up right on the river, actually, in the bottom of the Delta, and just a little poor nowhere town type of thing. And it's got some interesting backgrounds of roller coaster type things. And yeah, now I'm serving the Central Mississippi community and bridging off into the national market, trying to take this thing full time. So, yeah.
I love to hear it. So, what is your training background as far as like where did you start getting interested in firearms? Where did you start realizing you wanted to teach? I'd love to hear all of it.
Well, so as every country kid, I grew up hunting and fishing with my grandpa. My grandpa got me my first rifle when I was 7. Always hunting with him and whatnot. And both my folks were in law enforcement. My mom was an undercover state narc agent. And then my dad did homicide and narcotics investigations for a small department. It's just a 35,000 person town police department. And so my mom did the state level stuff and then did some stuff with the same department as well. She was injured and she broke her back like twice. So she was medically separated from that. And then my dad actually died in the line of duty in 2009.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So he died doing exactly what he loved, like heart of gold. There's over 1,000 people at his funeral for a reason.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah. 2 years before his passing, I actually signed up for the Army and went in as an MP, military police. Did basic, went through almost all of AIT, destroyed my right leg, the tibia, and it did not heal right. So I ended up getting med boarded out of that. That was a heck of a long process. Yeah, so I never deployed, never did anything cool. But I was going that route. And of course that thing changed. I was literally discharged on May 15th. Got home on the 16th, and my dad died about 10 hours later, 2 a.m. on the 17th. So that was 100% divine intervention. My mom needed me to be home, and God was like, "You got to get home," and that's how that is. But I say this: that's where I started. Right, that's where my interest started. Of course, I didn't know anything. I just okay, guns are cool. I know how to be safe as a 18-year-old can be, right?
Right.
I did okay in the Army. I qualified as best as I could with a 40-year-old M16 A2, old triangle handguard. Oh God, it was terrible. And then I qualified expert with the M9, bred 92. That thing was a hunk of junk. I scored 48 out of 50. And when it was funny, my captain did not think this was funny, but I was always a sarcastic little E2, like, we all are. But when I went and pulled my target and gave it to him and he counted out 48, I reached in my pocket and grabbed the 2 live rounds that that the gun wouldn't shoot. And I said, here's the other 2. And so he was
Nice.
like, you just think you're just a little smart ass, don't you?
Right, right.
Well, I shot expert and didn't even have 2 rounds go off. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
awesome.
yeah. So believe it or not, after my dad died, my mom, as our outlet, we got into competitive shooting. We had friends that did it, and it worked out to where we kind of got into it. USPSA specifically. And this was, 2010. So that's back when the USPSA was jamming. Like, we were having a good time, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember our state level matches in Mississippi on Saturday night. We'd have 3 kegs of beer, a live band, and 1,000 pounds of crawfish. And we still had to get up and shoot the next day.
Right. Of course. That's hilarious.
USPSA was awesome back then.
That's awesome.
So anyway, long story short, my mom eventually started talking to a gentleman named Rodney May, which was OG Team SIG back when SIG only had a 226 that was worth shooting. They didn't blow up though.
Awesome.
They broke lots of hammers and frames, but they didn't blow up.
Okay.
So he was on the same team with Max Michelle back in the day. Was a national level GM doing all the big area national matches, and then taught at was a range master at Mid-South Shooting Institute in North Mississippi. So all military and law enforcement training, mostly CQB stuff. I say mostly, like 90% shoot house stuff. And then he's had many training contracts through all the alphabet soups and different mill groups, like NSW, Naval Special Warfare groups, and so on and so forth. So I got all of my formal training. Like, I got my start in training with him because he has his own private range in Vicksburg, which is oddly enough where I'm from, sort of. So we didn't realize that even existed right down the road this whole time. And but anyway, so I learned everything I could learn from him over many years, basically apprenticed under him, got to teach with him at times. Like, I remember going and teaching the high risk DOC transport team, 2-day class up in Kansas City, Colorado, the Super Max prison up there. That was, God, that was so cool. Like you got to check your phones when you go in, type of things. You couldn't even have like phones and whatnot on this mini tier Supermax prison that had its own training facility within like the first area of it. It was wild. It was surreal. But different things like that, I've been able to just learn a crud ton.
Amazing.
But yeah, and then I don't know, 5 or so years ago, I decided to start doing my own thing. And then started, I taken outside classes, like took some classes from Frank Proctor, Riley Bowman, Tim Herron, Brian Hill, which I'm AI'd for in a few weeks.
Nice. Okay.
Oh my goodness, Ed Monk. Which, by the way, if you've never taken an Ed Monk class,
I have not.
Go there and show out, because his award for Top Shot is the funniest thing you have ever seen in your life. Yeah,
nice.
Oh man, I wish I had it handy, but it's like Don't Start Nothing Won't Be Nothing award goes to so and so. And it's got like Stewie from Family Guy on one side,
really?
like Clint Eastwood or John Wayne. I can't remember. I don't know the difference
Hell
between
the two. Okay.
And dude, it is the coolest award I've ever gotten.
That's awesome.
But yeah, anyway, long story short, shorter, it's kind of long. Anyway, here we are today, still trying to do my own thing, still taking outside training and just consistently refining my craft, if you will, my delivery, my opinion, if you will, based on all my experience of how all this should happen and be delivered.
It sounds like you have an incredible balance of taking in information as well as teaching it and wanting to connect with your students. And I can speak to that because you did teach me. You were an AI for AJ Zito at the Guardian conference, and you worked with John, Paul, and I a bit one-on-one, which was so nice because that was my first Red Dot site-specific class ever. And no one had ever really taught me how to shoot through Red Dot. I just kind of started doing it, as many people do. So it was really nice to be able to experience that, to see you interact with others, to just interact with you as a female in the industry, and just like feel super respected and just have such good, valuable, nourishing conversations with you, and then for you to now come on my podcast. I'm so excited about that. So
I sure
no,
appreciate
not
that.
too long at all. Thank you. Yeah. And not too long at all. I love when guest speakers give me their full training itinerary. You know what I mean? It's so
Yeah.
impressive when you can talk for that long, because that means that you've had that much training. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, let's see.
exciting.
Ever since my first class with Rodney, that was in 2011, maybe
Wow.
2010, but I think it's 2011. So that means I'm 13 years in. Wow.
Nice.
Jeez. I feel like I'll be
Yeah.
so I'm still only A class, but I like never get to
Okay.
shoot competitions anyway.
Only A class.
And
Got it.
so like, man, I've been trying to chase master for a long time. I've been sitting at like 84% for, I swear, like 2 years now. And
Really?
it just never lines up to where I can go compete that much.
I mean, you're
So
doing a lot. It's not like
yeah,
you're, just kind of chilling after work, catching like a 5 o'clock movie and then going to bed early. You're doing a lot. We could barely get
a
this
ton,
episode scheduled. So,
a ton.
uh,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace. I just had Matt Little on of
Hmm.
Gray
Yeah.
Beard Actual.
Hmm.
And he talked about how B class is incredible for like civilian training. Like B class
Hmm.
is like, he talks about that like being your black belt in training. So if you need to
They
like
keep telling me that, but I keep going to bed at night thinking, "Oh man, you're just an A class nobody."
just an A class, nah, man, no, 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 no. If you need to go listen to that episode, check it out. It's gonna
Yeah.
air before yours. So hopefully someone
Okay.
listening,
Good deal.
hopefully they're getting what I'm picking up what I'm putting down here. But no,
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'd love to hear about your specific teaching philosophy. That's been
Hmm.
an incredible benefit of this podcast specifically. I didn't actually start She Shield to thinking like I was going to get to learn all these different training philosophies. I was just like wanting to give a platform to these incredible people in the industry that,
Yeah.
maybe don't have one yet, or are growing theirs. And that's been
Bridge the
such
gap.
absolutely, it's
Yeah.
been incredible to hear all of them. So yours in
Yeah.
particular is very interesting. So I'd love for you to share it with the listeners why you chose, first of all, synergy
Hmm.
training for Synergy Training Group and what that means to you.
All right. So, uh, you asked about the teaching style and where I
Yeah.
came about that. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that I was a math tutor for 6 years.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, and then I
What
was
type of
also
math?
all of it, like everything from just tag, which back then was transition algebra, geometry, all the way to calculus.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I actually went to college for mechanical engineering.
Oh my goodness.
So
Very
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, I was just a big
Amazing.
old nerd.
That's
And then
awesome. I'm thinking back to my calculus days and I'm like,
yeah,
my brain stopped for a second because it doesn't want to go there. But yeah,
my
that's
brain is
incredible.
all
That's
numbers.
very impressive.
Everybody hates on Common Core math, but like it's just a different way of breaking that stuff down in your head and trying
Yeah.
like taking a problem and realizing there's more than one way to fix it.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
not everything has to be a specific way. All right. It's
Right.
not, I understand we're writing it in black and white, black pen, black pencil, or whatever on white, but there's a lot of gray area in the middle. If you can figure out how to do that, you can almost figure out anything. So I was doing Common Core stuff in my head, basically
Nice.
pulling apart math equations, or it doesn't matter, and putting it all back together in my head. I used to get dinged so much by my teachers because I didn't show my work. I'm like, but I didn't cheat and I got the answer right. And you know how I didn't cheat? Because I was the first person to turn in my assignment. Who did I cheat off
Right.
of?
Right. That's
And
hilarious.
so, yeah, also I blame my mom for the sarcasm. And I'm
Okay,
going to send her
okay.
this as well.
It sounds like you've gotten some really awesome attributes from her, but
Oh man.
that's very cool.
Yeah, dude, me and my mom glued at the hips. That is
Just
for
the fact
sure.
that you competed together as like your form of
Absolutely.
coping and connecting.
Oh, she
That's just
got
yeah.
so good so fast. Like
Nice.
she just went off and left me. She knew she was
Love
our
it.
state's first World Arm woman instructor.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
That's
sh-
incredible.
Yeah, she went from nobody to chief range officer in like a year and a half and was working national matches.
Wow.
That was actually where
That's
I
incredible.
2011 at the Multi-Gun Nationals in Vegas. Mom brought me with her to work the match, just as a peon run, go get this thing, because I didn't know nothing. And that's where I got to meet Jerry Mitchell the first time. And then
Very
Max
nice.
Michelle and a couple other like big names from back then. That was back when Shane Coley was part of the ASMU unit.
Okay.
You know Shane Coley, the Glock guy?
Yes, actually, his
Yep.
name. Yes.
He's actually,
Was
believe it or
he?
not,
No,
he's
go ahead. Sorry.
from like 30 minutes north of where I grew up too. So we're both
Oh,
Mississippi
nice.
Delta boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But so that's where I started teaching at the age of 14 as a math tutor, and then also did
Nice.
a little bit of saxophone tutoring as well.
Very
'Cause I was
cool.
also
Okay.
a band nerd. Yep, did all the
Nice.
bands, concert, marching, and jazz. Jazz was my favorite. I played 3 different saxophones. I was the swing player, so whatever that the band needed me to play, I could play that. So
Can I
anyway,
just say something?
yeah,
You have a band personality, and I
really?
can say that as a violinist who taught sectionals and orchestra,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
yeah. So it's of course like the almost like fake funny feud between like orchestra and band, like who's door gear, all that stuff. I
Oh,
had
and then
so
choir.
many. Yes, that too. Oh my god. I had so many friends. Like I dated a few people in band. That sounds really bad. Different times, don't worry. But like there's a
I
certain
know what you meant.
personality, you know what I mean, to like band people, because you have
Yeah.
to have this like ability to connect with those around you. You not
Yeah.
only have to listen to the section that's across the stage from you, but you also have to be
Yeah.
able to connect with people and like meet them where they're at. Like it really does say a lot about you that you were a musical instructor from and past
Yeah.
musical tutor as well. Like that truly says a lot. So I just wanted to say that. It's kind of
Yeah.
funny.
As much as
Yeah.
a teenage person that had no training in how to teach people could do, like I was just trying to help
Still.
the guys that they just weren't getting it. So we'd spend a little bit of time after class or whatever, trying to
that's
help
awesome.
them a little bit.
Yeah.
I was by no
Very
means
cool.
like the guy to go see if you wanted to be the next best saxophone player. I was just
Gotcha.
helping out like the lowest common denominator type of thing. But
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
awesome.
So just helping people and relating to them, like, look, man, life's hard, right?
Yeah.
Like this skill we're trying to do ain't easy. All right. A lot of
Right.
times it's
Yeah.
simple, but it ain't
Right.
easy.
Right.
And like sometimes when I do things so fast, it can be intimidating. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a naturally very efficient person that does everything really fast. And then
Nice.
so I can exemplify the skill, but then I have to word it in such a way that it's no longer intimidating. I have to meet them where they are. Be like, look, man, I remember the day where I was doing good to reload the gun. I remember that day. All right.
Yeah.
Please don't feel bad. All right.
Right. Yeah.
Let's find some happy medium. The more conversation I have with them, the more they open up, the more I can see how they communicate so that I can cater how I'm communicating with them so that it has the best effect. And anyway, and also not everybody needs everything all at once. Like a lot of instructors are like doing this whole here's everything at once. And
Yeah.
I used to do that because I didn't know any better, but I've grown and I've learned, and I've slowly but surely started understanding how to read people and give them the maximum amount of stuff that can be beneficial to them without overloading them. Because
Wonderful.
we can get overloaded. Like
Yeah.
I do plumbing as my daily job, and my boss to plumbing is like me to gun stuff. When he walks up and goes to a job and starts doing things, I'm like, dude, I can barely keep up. What do you like? And then I'll go and do something, or one of our other workers are going doing something, and he's like, "Why is it taking y'all so long?" I'm like, bro, because we're trying to figure this out as we do it. Like we ain't got all this figured out and done 100 times like you have.
Right.
So it's really cool to be in the student seat and have that perspective of at times being overwhelmed. And but he's such a great boss, and he teaches
awesome.
so well, and we really thrive off of each other. on that type of thing. But anyway, so that's how I got my teaching start. And we went all sorts of we found like 8
No,
rabbit holes, but only went like a few inches in each one.
no, I appreciate you going into your background outside of just firearms, talking about your
Yeah.
math tutoring, your saxophone tutoring, and then the fact that your day-to-day job even brings a perspective and lesson for you. And I wish more people would go into that on this podcast. So I appreciate you sharing
Yeah.
that. And I think it shows how reflective you are as well about like how you have ended up where you're at now. So
Hmm.
that's really exciting. And we've talked a little bit about your approach to teaching people one-on-one and really connecting with them where they're at. So where does that come from and how do you currently implement that in your synergy training?
So that comes from all the tutoring that I've done.
Right.
So I'm a very hyper person that is also kind of has the heart of a gypsy. Like I really like
Nice.
I always want to go somewhere. Like I pick up something, I become fairly dang good at it really quick, and then get bored of it. I'm like, oh, now I gotta go find something else to do. Well,
That's a nice
that
saying.
is
I've never heard that.
that's why I've never had a profession that's lasted longer than like 2 years. So I've had so
Nice.
many jobs. Like
Uh-huh.
2 jobs ago, believe it or not, I was a branch manager for Regions Bank.
Okay.
I was in financial
Yeah.
management. And
Very
so
nice.
anyway, it's I'll say this, I've also had some professional training that really helps out here. Regions is the largest bank in the Southeast, and their training resources are vast, right? So I got to
Yeah.
learn a lot about how to um, teach people in things that aren't gun related, because it's a bank. We're doing
Right.
banking stuff, but it's all about building relationships with your customers, all right? Because banking is sales. It's basically sales. It's sales with a pretty little bow on top. That's all it is.
Okay.
And so being able to connect with customers, listen to what they're saying, ask prompting questions so that they also say more information that they thought they were going to say, to be able to really put them in the proper product that fits them, not necessarily what they thought they were going to get when they came in. That was very eye-opening. And then I got into management, so I had to teach all of my employees that skill as well. Believe it or not, so one of the coolest things that they did was the Clifton Strength Finders thing. So it's like a personality test. It's forever long. It's like an hour and a half test if you zoom through it. And
Okay.
so my top 5 traits were communication, responsibility, analytical, belief, and respect, I think it was.
Nice.
So there's different categories of type of person that puts you under, and the category that I got put under is coach. So
Very
my
nice.
my specific personality traits, my natural God-given traits, um,
Okay.
puts me under the category of a coach. So that going through that back in 2019, really, that was the beginning of refining who I am. I had a really good boss when I was a assistant manager before I went to management, um, Mr. Kevin Brown, and he said to me one day, I did something really good, and I was super excited about it. And he told me congratulations, and I was like, man, just trying to be like you, KB. And he stopped me, and he looked at me, and like looked into my heart. I swear,
Mm.
I'll never forget this. He's like, this world don't need another me. This world needs the best version of you. Just be you,
Yeah.
dude.
That's
And
awesome.
I'll
That's very
man, I'll
sweet.
never forget that.
Oh,
And it's weird
yeah.
because like the next training thing, one of the next training things I did was the active self protection instructor curriculum thing, and that just hammered it in. That hammered that
Hmm.
home and helped me get done, refine, not done because you're never done, but like get me to a solid place of being the best version of myself that I can be. Because I wasted, I don't know how many years. I feel like it was kind of a trauma response, but I wasted so many years trying to be the person that I thought other people wanted me to be, or be the person that I thought would get me further in life, or whatever. Like I never was okay with just being me. And KB saying that to me, and then going through the active self protection instructor curriculum program, I can finally breathe.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've the connections that I can make with people now from that, because I'm not trying to worry about trying to be the person they want me to be,
Yeah.
so much more genuine, so much so much deeper of a connection than ever before. And of course, it's going to keep getting better, but I just got to give a tip of the hat to all of that.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
yeah, that is a compliment when you are like trying to tell someone you respect, you're incredible, thank you, and then they throw that back at you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
he's
oh, go ahead.
smart. He's wise. Like he knew I needed to
Nice.
hear that too. And
Yeah, yeah.
he said it in the exact way and the exact timing where it had the best impact. Like, and
Awesome.
that's wisdom only age can give you. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't know if I have that effect on people yet. I probably don't, but like that is some old man wisdom.
Yeah, that's fair. There are some things that, yes, that I think come with age as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
And when it comes to your structuring of your classes, first of all, what classes do you offer, or is it just
Hmm.
one-on-one currently?
Oh no, so I have a couple of different things.
Okay.
And that's where synergy came from, was my belief that all things are important. Like when I shoot, I got that from Rodney May. He coined core shooting, which is the upper body
Okay.
structure behind the gun that involves proper engagement with major muscle groups, core muscle groups. So
Yes.
this is something that he's been teaching for since 2000 and no, since 1999 when he started
Okay.
at Mid South. So anyway, so I did that, and then just my own philosophies of how we should be taking into account everything, our environment, the people are like, and when I say the environment, I'm talking like the wind blowing and how in tune we are with nature, and then being in tune with people around us, understanding what they're saying even when they're not saying anything at all,
Mm.
like understanding what needs to be shot and what doesn't, understanding
Right.
yourself and what you can and can't do. All right. Not trying to
Yeah.
push your capabilities beyond what you actually can, and being more of a liability to yourself and those around you, so on and so forth. So my buddy Wesley Sutterfield, he's our stop the bleed trauma first aid instructor, OG paramedic from Jackson, that's plugged more knife and bullet holes than you can count.
That's
Uh,
fair. Yeah.
he came up with the name Synergy. And
Love that.
back then I was only teaching the shooty stuff. So it was Synergy Shooting Solutions.
Okay.
And beginning of last year, I reformatted the name because one, social media doesn't like anything with the word shoot in it. And two, I do way more than shooting stuff now. I'm starting to teach
Mm-hmm.
less lethal self-defense classes, just 4-hour seminars for small groups or female-only groups for introduction to self-awareness and self-defense with OC spray, things of that nature, doing speaking engagements. More of a training group type of thing. Plus, I have some guys I'm trying to bring in, and a apprentice type of stuff as well. So it's more of a group effort and not just me. I never wanted it to be just me anyway.
Right.
But yeah, so that's where that came from. And to answer your question on the classes I do, so I used to just do anything. I was very much the let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Because again, I
Yeah.
didn't know who I was and I wasn't okay
Right.
with it. I was like, oh my God, I don't know where I'm at. I just need to figure
I
out what
feel that
sticks
right
and stick
now
with that maybe.
in my,
Yeah.
yeah, totally get
So
that.
I've really refined it a lot lately. And
Nice.
so
Okay.
as I told you earlier, my wife owns Whole Story Health.
Uh-huh.
She has a very holistic approach to health, and so do I. We have almost the exact same, or the same ideologies on the approach. And so you know what functional medicine is?
Yes.
The term functional. All right, so my flagship pistol course is called Functional Pistol.
Okay.
It's what I consider to be a holistic approach to pistol shooting. What are the core fundamental concepts and principles that you need to understand, learn, and be able to practice and know how to practice it? And of course, track all of this to be a proficient pistol shooter. And then I will slowly build the same thing for rifle. I don't know if you know this, but when I teach at Guardian this year, I'll be teaching 2 rifle classes. So I'll be
No,
the
actually,
rifle
we
guy.
talked a
Yep.
bit before, but yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
meant to ask you like what you were teaching this year. Perfect. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
So
exciting. Okay.
I'll do rifle stuff. One is
Nice.
optimizing your rifle, optimizing your carbine, because of all these regular civilians I've seen bring carbines to class, I look at their rifle, I'm like, you have no idea what half this stuff is, do you? Because like half of it's not even
Me.
installed correctly.
Yeah.
Like now we got to spend an hour of class fixing your rifle. So
Yeah,
and
that's totally fair.
it's not because that they're malicious or anything. They just don't know. They've
Right.
never been told. So I'm
Absolutely.
going to do a 4-hour optimizing your carbine class, and then just a little snippet of what I would consider functional rifle, some basic
Okay.
principles and concepts that you need to understand to be good behind a rifle. Connection to sight picture,
Nice.
knowing your ballistics, understanding which zero produces which ballistics graph, if you will, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. There's things you really need to be really need to know to be a good rifleman. But so all right, so functional pistol is my flagship 2-day course.
Okay.
All right, and then I teach with a gentleman named Jim Krantz. He's a grandmaster
Okay.
pistol shooter in
Amazing.
IPSC and USPSA. So he competes on a global level. So
Incredible.
and he nerds out about that type of stuff. Like that is
Nice. Yeah.
he lives and breathes competitive practical shooting.
Love
So
that.
we have a practical shooting clinic that we teach together, and then
Okay.
one of my best friends in the world, Stony Steele. That's his God-given name, Stony Steele. Kid you not, it's the best guy. He's a
Yeah.
grandmaster in USPSA, and he helps. He actually, me and him did the Red Dot Pistol Performance class as a 1-dayer at my home range a couple years
Okay.
ago. Kept doing it. It was very successful, and that's where functional pistol actually came from.
Oh,
Functional
nice.
pistol was the
Okay.
evolution of that 1-day RDS class, and he still helps me teach it whenever he's home. He works offshores half the year, so
Gotcha.
there's that. And then just one-on-one stuff, virtual coaching, and enhanced carry classes for the state. I do that on occasion. Got one this weekend actually. But the coolest thing that I think I'm doing now that I don't know if anyone else is doing is what I call Synergy Remote.
Okay.
And what it is, it's a 6-week hybrid training class. It's a 6-week hybrid
Nice.
one-on-one training class. So you get signed up for less than the cost of a 2-day class. All right, just the cost of going to one, not including your hotel, travel, food, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You get me one-on-one for 6 weeks. Our first
Very cool.
meeting is just understanding who you are and where are you at on your shooting journey, your goals, making sure those goals are refined properly, making sure we're looking at goals as milestones and not destinations,
Mm-hmm.
seeing where you're at on your mental management game, looking at all your different experiences, reviewing some footage of you shooting and dry firing. And then you're going to get 2 weeks of assignments. All right. I'm going to structure your dry fire based on what I think you need right now. So your priority is this. And then you're also going to have a live fire assignment and of course you got to record at least 2 sessions of your dry fire. And then you got to
Okay.
record your live fire as well. We meet up again, Zoom, and we review all that stuff. Of course, the student texts me and whatnot during those 2 weeks. It's not like you don't hear from me within those 2 weeks or whatever.
Right.
Like no, like you're still texting me, asking me questions. We're checking in,
Yeah.
making sure things are groovy and all that. And so 2 weeks, hit up another Zoom, same thing. All right, we review where you're at. We give you another priority of what to work on, making sure that dry fire is being structured properly. And your next live fire assignment is going to be such and such again. Same thing.
Okay.
Then another 2 weeks, and then we have your exit meeting. So an entry meeting every 2 weeks, a checkup with more assignments, and then your exit meeting. And of course, at the exit meeting, you have the option to continue the program or take your toys and go home, whatever. And so,
Okay.
so
Nice.
yeah, but it's a minimum of 6 weeks. All right. Because
Yeah.
there is no way our human brains can absorb everything an instructor is trying to teach us in a 2-day curriculum in 16 hours.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. All right. Not only
Absolutely.
that, but there's no way that we can produce measurable skill improvements in 2 days. A little bit, if you do everything right and you can somehow have an aggregate of results and take away the outliers. Okay. But that becomes
Right.
super time intensive. And in a world where these 2-day classes have become more of just hanging out with your favorite Insta star, more so than it is
That's
actually
fair.
learning anything. It's like, oh, hey, come shoot these standards and spend however much time we got to waste while one person does this thing that I think that you must do to say, oh, I've arrived and I get this thing because of it. Okay, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
I'm gonna be, twiddling my thumbs for 2 hours while other people are doing this thing to see if they've arrived, and they had to pay all
Right.
this money and waste all this time just to come see if they did or didn't. And I'm like, what are we learning here? What, what's the end goal? Are we scratching egos or are we actually learning? I'm
Right.
confused because it sure doesn't sound like we're learning. It really just seems like everybody's getting their ego scratched, and not just the instructor, but the student too. And I could not give two craps about anybody's ego, much less my own. Like, I really want to get out what I'm putting in. If I'm going to put in,
Of course.
let's say, minimum 48 hours away from my family, away from my wife, $1,000 of my resources, lost wages, whatever else. And then I come home and I'm like, yeah, I had a good time. Well, that's cool and all, but like,
Right.
what else? Oh, I had a good time. I got to shoot some. I feel like I knocked the rust off, Yeah. Okay. Well, what are
Yeah.
you going to do now? Are you going to take what you just learned and you're going to go to the range and you're going to practice this and keep it going? Oh no, I'll catch another class next time. Oh, the same class so that you can hammer in with, no, it's a different one. So you're not going to absorb, practice, and refine what you just learned. Instead,
Right.
you're just going to go have a good time and then pick your next favorite flavor of Instastar teacher and go take their thing and just somehow hope all this sticks and just one day you wake up as a ninja with a gun. I'm like, what?
Right.
This does not make sense. This is not how humans learn. Like, if that was the case, then you would have a high school diploma by the time you were 8. But no, that's not.
That's fair. Yeah.
Everybody would have a
Absolutely.
PhD by the time they were 16, but no,
Yeah.
this. Uh, anyway, so Synergy Remote is a 6-week long program, minimum 6 weeks. You have the option to extend it, of course, where
Okay.
you actually get your money's worth, and like you're
Sounds
taught
like it.
how to train and how to practice. And anyway, and of course, I have the all the fun 2-day stuff if you just want to have a good time and learn some really cool stuff.
Of
And
course.
understand that I don't have standards. I have functional exercises that are meant for you to
Okay.
take home so that you can track and see what you're doing. It's also manipulative. You can manipulate it, whatever the word is. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for that. You can
Okay.
manipulate it to your certain skill level. You can pick apart which thing you
Yeah.
want to work on specifically, isolate different skills.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I have synergy functional exercises. I don't have standards. I don't have this subjective goal that you must meet to win something that
Right.
says, "Oh, I've arrived. I don't have to do it anymore because I've arrived." No, that's no. I have these
Right.
exercises that have a limitless score. Like, there is no top score. It's hit
I
factor
love that.
scoring. It can always be approved by either going faster or getting more points, or getting more
Yeah.
points while going faster.
Attention all knife enthusiasts. Today's episode is sponsored by the one and only Cold Steel Knives. For over 3 decades, Cold Steel has been leading the way in the knife industry, dedicated to creating the world's strongest and sharpest blades. They've pioneered countless innovations that have become industry hallmarks of quality and sophistication. From their revolutionary checked Kraton handles to the iconic Tonto point blade systems, Cold Steel's progressive accomplishments have set new standards in the field. Their trademark triad locking mechanism remains unrivaled by any of their competitors, proving its unbeatable performance time and time again. Their impressive lineup goes beyond just knives. They offer swords, tomahawks, machetes, cutlery, and a wide range of tools for everyday carry. Trusted by military, law enforcement, emergency services, self-defense professionals, and martial arts practitioners, Cold Steel is renowned for quality, strength, reliability, and dependability. Where strength, safety, and performance come together for over 3 decades and counting, use code SHESHIELD at checkout, that's SHESHIELD, to save and to support the pod.
That was a lot.
That's awesome. No, it's good. It's a good a lot. And I'm trying to think. The first time that an instructor ever really emphasized like post class assignments was when
Hmm.
I trained with Keith Tyler of TFI Academy, and he gave me
Oh yeah.
some. Oh, do you know him?
Yeah, yeah. So me and Riley taught at his place last year in June, I
Yes.
believe. Yeah,
Yes.
Riley taught
Funny
his
story.
pistol
I
IQ,
almost
and
went.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was his AI that weekend. We spent the whole weekend hanging out with Keith, and yeah. It was a great time.
Yes.
Keith's
On this
awesome, dude.
beautiful land.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Keith is a character. I love him. And he character in a good way. Sorry, that sounds bad,
Oh
but
no, oh he's definitely a character. He's a
he's
SIG
definitely a
guy.
character.
Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, absolutely. That's so funny. Yeah. So after training with him a few times, I took his workbook home. He gives everyone a
Yeah.
binder, and it really summarizes everything he teaches. And then he also started giving me some homework, and he allows students
Hmm.
to pay him for like some homework check-ins for dry fire. And that was
Yep.
awesome because I was like, what the hell is dry fire? Like, what even is dry fire other than, just drawing from the holster? What do I need to work on? And that was the first time I was like, nice. Nice. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you
So,
done his shooter athlete program yet? Well, I
oh,
guess you
okay.
live too far
So,
away to do that.
well, when I lived in total transparency, when I lived in Jonesboro, I had
Hmm.
the option of doing that, but I was finishing up a master's program and it was 4
Hmm.
hours from me. So it
Subtle
was
flex.
it was a big
Mm.
I don't know. It was a big commitment. It was definitely man, it was training going out there and training was amazing for so many reasons. First of all, I was always indoors teaching as a GA. I was teaching first aid on campus as a GA, and then I was
Oh,
also a
cool.
master's student, and then I was a personal trainer, just like always inside. And so it got me to go outside and be in the elements with the insects. Oh my God. And um after that, he would give me homework. So I'd drive there
Yeah.
in the morning, like leave at like 5 a.m., get home at like 10, and then he'd give me homework, and then I'd go and see him again in like a month. But the shooter
Hmm.
athlete program, it was a little bit intense for the time I had.
Hmm.
Um, and just full transparency, finances at the time, because I was a
Sure. Yeah.
student, so
Yeah.
paying off med school. So um, it was it was a great introduction to what a quality program entails, and it's what I look for now when I train with people. I've never heard of your approach, which sounds a lot like a personal trainer approach, where you
Hmm.
like you actually check in and you look at data and you
Yep.
assess and then you reassign.
Hmm.
So I really love that. Like, that's music to my ears as a personal trainer, as someone who has a personal trainer, and has taken
Yeah.
many classes so far. Like, really love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Full
yeah,
transparency, I kind of stole it from my wife
that's
because the
awesome. Yeah.
it's a little shorter. Her program's longer for the women that she brings on because she's a health coach
Uh huh. Uh huh.
specializing in female metabolic and hormonal health, and so like
Very nice.
that's basically her business plan. And I'm
Okay.
like, this makes all the sense. And then of course I had just done the hybrid training with ASPIC, the instructor
Okay.
curriculum. Um, and so it was a meeting every Tuesday evening with homework, writing assignments, and
Mm-hmm.
we had one live fire meetup in Sioux Falls, South Carolina. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Lord have mercy, tongue tied. And I was like, and it was 6 months long. I'm like,
Okay.
this is effective.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most growth in 6 months I think I've ever experienced was that. I'm like, why
Nice.
aren't we doing that for shooters? Like just
Uh
for like
huh.
what? This is super effective.
Yeah,
Like so anyway,
that's
between
awesome.
the ASPIC and the way my wife does business with her clients, I was like, oh, there's a need and it ain't being met. I'm gonna do it.
Right.
I have the resources, I have the time, I have the ability. I'm doing. If not me, then who? Right? Like we said that earlier.
Absolutely.
And then bridging the
Yeah.
gap. We said that earlier as well. I feel like I really do feel like there's a gap there
Yeah.
that needed to be bridged. There's people taking these classes that wish they would have gotten more out of it. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like they got 2 hours of instruction out of a 2-day class. And I'm like, oh, come on, man! You spent $1,000 and only got that. Like, there's got to be a better way. Well, there is.
Yeah.
There is. And my approach to functional pistol is I feel a more efficient way of teaching a 2-day class as well, where you're just getting way more one-on-one time and coaching and learning out of a 2-day class than your traditional 2-day show up, do as I say, type of thing, run this drill, whatever. So yeah. And it's not also, and it's not much, but whenever you do sign up for the Synergy remote program, you do get like this whole packet that I mail you. You get dry fire
Awesome.
targets that are front and back, USPSA or classics, whichever you prefer. I like both. Which my Synergy targets have both overlaid on top of each other, and you'll learn
Okay.
actually
Yeah,
that
go ahead and show them.
that right there,
Awesome.
the IPSC Classic is a more anatomically correct thoracic shootable zone than the big old ginormous 9x12 A zone of a USPSA target.
Really?
Anyway,
Okay.
stickers as normal. One of the best things you can do. Shooting journal. All right.
Yep.
And I'm gonna and also in here is instructions on how to make your logs, like how to journal.
Okay.
Right? It's not just talking about your feelings. Like we're really
Right. Oh, darn.
Yep, exactly. We are absolutely catering to what our conscious, subconscious, and self-image need. All right, we're protecting
Very
that
nice.
self-image. We're burning into our subconscious mind what our new norm is. Like, you know what? I just set my personal record for a 190 bill drill, all clean from concealment today. I'd love to continue to relive that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, relive it. Write it down. Go back and read it. You can relive it.
Yes.
Your subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between the reality your conscious mind feeds it or the reality that we make up. So like the actual one
Absolutely.
or the one we relive here, it's pretty much all the same. We're burning it in.
Absolutely. The reticular activating system. Right?
Fancy words.
Yes.
You're going to have to email me that because I need that.
Gotcha. I didn't know if that was where you were heading. I was going to see if I could catch you there. It's like the system that our brain uses to filter information, and like it technically doesn't know what's real and what's fake. So whatever we tell ourselves is what perpetuates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what the worst thing is, negative self-talk is the worst snowballing thing is, because then we're going to start believing all those negative thoughts that we've had. And again, I am not saying any of this on my little mountain of perfectionism. Okay.
Right,
I'm saying this from a dude that is on that same exact journey. All right. Like I've been through therapy. I've been through all those negative self-talks. Like I've been to the deepest of the deep, and like I've come out of it, and I've gotten like I want to share with people exactly that. All right, because
absolutely,
I'm invested in their journey, not just where they end up, but like the whole journey. And of course, you also get some locked in grip chalk, because that's cool. It's pretty handy dandy.
It is,
and a barrel block. Got to have a barrel block for safe dry fire. So you get a cool little onboarding package that sets you up for success. And then, of course, there's a piece of printer paper that's printed out that's got like additional resources, like use this website for such and such. This is how you journal your things, and so on and so forth. So it's not just a, hey, pay me money and I'll see you 3 times, 4 times, whatever, and happy day. Like, no, you actually have tangible stuff to take home as well and actually work on. Like Keith was saying, you're going to have homework, and you're going to have to record it. You're going to have to write it down. All that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll deal with that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's super exciting. And it's nice to know that people have options out there. It's definitely a more invasive is not the right word. Invasive is not the right word. I'm thinking of medical terminology now. I'm like in the medical mindset. It is a more in-depth approach. So if you're someone who wants to go to the class and just like experience that social aspect, meet someone that you really look up to and just have fun, that's cool. You can do that. But for someone who wants a more involved instructor to work with, you are giving them that option. So that's super exciting. And I'll have all of your training information linked in the show notes for anyone interested in that. Kind of going off of the mental management system you use, I'd love to hear about that, because everyone's is a little different, and it's incredibly encouraging, and I don't think it's talked about enough. As someone who's really only shot like 8 USPSA matches at this point, it's easy to see, even by 8, I can see people's mental management systems at work. Like you have the
Yeah.
person who's like, that was bad, but I'll be okay. And then they crush it on the next stage. And then you have the guy who's like kicking the dirt next to you. And you're like, oh my God, like chill, dude. Even though, some people take it seriously. But then he
Hmm.
like messes up the rest of the day because he's just so in his head. So
Oh,
I'd love
yeah.
to know for you, like what is your system?
Well, first off, again, um, I come from the experience of being all of those people. All right. Again, I don't
Right.
want to sound like I'm on this mountain of perfectionism looking down on people. Like, no, man, like I've lived it. I'm still living it. I still struggle with things. All right. Like I'm
Right.
human.
Right.
I talk really
Absolutely.
fast, but I promise I'm human.
Right.
So my first introduction to mental management was actually with Riley Bowman back in 2021,
Okay.
22. I think I can't remember. All right. So, and he said something along the lines of, there is do or do not, there is no try, which is it's a, oh God, who's the little small weird thing in Star
Yoda?
Wars? The green, thank you, Yoda. I was about to say Yogi. I was like, that's not right. Yoda
I
says that
feel
in
you
Star
though.
Wars. Oh man, I'm terrible with movies. I don't like,
No,
I can't sit still long enough to watch movies most of the time. So anyway,
same.
um, and I didn't quite understand it, but I remember it. Okay.
Okay.
Then I do the active self protection instructor curriculum. Oh man, it's been 2 years now. So 2022, we start in May. So
Okay.
yeah, I met Raleigh Bowman in February of 2022, and then I started in May, same year with the ASPIC cohort 5. And one of the reading assignments was, I gave it away. I passed it on, which is with Winning in Mind by
Mm-hmm.
Lanny Basham. So for those listening that may not know, Lanny Basham coined the mental management systems, and you can Google that up. Man, he's got a little workbook on there that teaches you like actual things you can do, and then of course you can always buy his book with Winning in Mind, and in the back of it has that work list as well, because I like actual
Yes.
things. Like I can't. I'm not the person that
I don't
can just
blame you.
absorb information and immediately apply. Like I need to do it to make sure it's
Right.
truly burned in. And so I read the book and started applying it. I haven't quite perfected defining who I am because it's changing all the time. And then my best friend, Mikos, they call him Memphis Beach. I asked him who he was at my last functional pistol class up in North Alabama. And he says, I'm a trophy husband. And I just threw my hands up and there was like, dang nabbit, now I got to change mine. Mine's got to have trophy husband in it now.
Yep. Exactly.
I thought that
Exactly.
was the coolest thing, man.
That is awesome.
And so anyway, yeah, the mental management stuff it's mandatory. There's no two
Yeah.
ways about it. If you don't know what mental management is or never actually tried applying it and you have hit some sort of plateau or ceiling, I promise you right now, I will bet every dollar in my bank account this will get you over it. Learning how to cater to how your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and your self-image all work together to give you the performance you desire, and really start, like I said, catering to how all that works will get you over that plateau. Bar none.
Absolutely.
Easiest thing you can do. Go do that. All right. If you
Yeah.
want to do it with me, cool beans. I ain't a mental management coach. I just sprinkle it in to make sure that you are at least exposed to it and get you going
Absolutely.
in the direction of Lanny Basham or Chris Bean. Chris Bean is a certified mental management coach.
Okay.
Huge mentor of mine. I don't know if you know who that is,
I don't
but
actually. I'll take a
that's
note though
someone
and
else
I'll
I need
link
to get you
him.
in contact with.
Please.
Yep. Huge coach.
How do you spell
He's
his
one of
last
the
name?
BEAN, Chris Bean, Christopher
Okay.
Bean.
That's what I thought you said. Okay, cool, cool.
He's one of the co-directors of the ASPIC, Active Self Protection Instructor Curriculum. Um,
Okay.
Great dude, so knowledgeable. Like sometimes when I talk to him, I'm like, I thought I was smart. Well, you're making me second guess this some days,
That's
but no, in a good
hilarious.
way because he really cares about you, you know.
Right, a
And
good challenge. Yeah.
yes, it is. So, no, the mental management thing is something you absolutely have to integrate into your training, and not this ain't just shooting, right? Like
Right.
this mental management stuff has helped me be a better human, helped me be a better husband, a better employee, a better coach, a better a friend, like all the things, because I'm not
Right.
drowning in my negative thoughts that I used to. Like my negative thoughts used to absolutely control me, and now they don't. Now they don't. It's just like I'll have them, and then I have a way of dealing with them, and then we're all good. Like an hour or two at the most is when I have to deal with these types of things, and sometimes I can deal
Right.
with them in just a matter of a few minutes. And I tell you what, I used to be the most impatient person ever, and I can attribute my newfound level of patience to that as well. Like
Yeah.
just truly understanding how all this works, how to manage my thoughts, expectations. Preconceived expectations. That was the thing I was trying to think of earlier.
Okay.
It's a miracle I can be a coach to anybody with this freaking rabbit running around in my head. To be honest with you.
No, not true. Also, it's late. Like for those listening don't know, it's 8 p.m. Central and
Yeah.
like to like work all day and then hop on a podcast,
Yep.
that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot. Give
So,
yourself grace.
but yeah, so the mental management thing has got to happen. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Go get the With Winning in Mind book, read it, and if you want more, reach out to someone like me or Chris Bean, and we can get you going in that direction.
I love that. And I like that you sprinkle it in. It's maybe not your exact focus, but
Yeah.
you get people to think about it. Um, I was luckily given that book by a friend early on in the industry. And if he hadn't given that to me, I would have never considered it. And I read it between my like first and second USPSA match that I did. And applying that just in that short time made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it's applied to my everyday life. It's applied to myself as a wife, as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter. Just that mentality of not being perfect and
Mm-hmm.
like taking the time to appreciate the experience and also like using our kind of like just neurological pathways that are built into our advantage, taking the time to get
Yep.
psychoeducated and then actually be able to use that
Mm-hmm.
to our advantage. Like so incredible. It's funny. I should start tallying because that book has been recommended
So
so
many
many times
times.
on this podcast. Yes.
Yep.
But I didn't know that we actually had an industry mental management coach. So I'm excited
Yep.
that I can link him and put
Yeah.
his name out there for people that want some more one-on-one.
You actually have two. Steve Anderson's the other one.
Oh yeah. Okay, I have his books. Okay, let
Mm-hmm.
me
Yeah.
write that down
Refinement
so
and
I don't forget.
repetition. Yep. I got it right there-ish somewhere in the stuff.
Yeah, notice I said I have his books. I have yet to read them.
Oh,
I
really?
hate to be that way, but his name comes up a lot. Yes, and
Yep.
that's just me being an Audible fiend. And yeah,
Took a Steve Anderson class last February,
okay.
and I won. I won a few of the speed challenges, most of them, and then most of the accuracy challenges.
Oh my
And
gosh, nice.
yeah,
Okay,
and that was one of my aha moments of I have everything there is. Like there's nothing different between me and a GM shooter as far as my pure shooting ability.
yeah,
And I'd been beating myself up over that for a long time, and going up and putting up those numbers and beating Jay Bill's record for a 1R1 in front of Steve Anderson
nice.
was like it was that affirmation that I'd never had before. That again, that
Mm-hmm.
negative self-thought, negative talk that
Yeah,
had just taken control over me. I was like, oh man, I can finally breathe. It finally made me okay with the fact that I'm not a GM, not because of lacking shooting skill, but just the lack of time in the sport. Like I
yeah,
don't have, like I get to shoot like 3 matches a year. Like, who's going to be a GM shooting 3 matches a year? Come on.
exactly. Right,
So
not me. Yeah,
yeah, it is what it is. And I finally
right.
was able to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's incredible. And thank you for sharing that. I feel like anyone listening can benefit from hearing your story. And it really comes down a lot to, excuse me, I've been talking a lot today. Comes down a lot to also like what your goals are in the industry, and like
Hmm.
identifying your goals and your priorities, which that was an awesome, I had Matt Little on, I think I mentioned earlier, and that was like one of the big topics of that podcast episode. And it's really gotten me thinking about like, what are my goals and priorities right now?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to like look around and compare yourself to,
Hmm.
um, this industry is huge, but it's also small, very small, and it's
Very
easy
small.
to just play the comparison game all the time.
Yep.
So,
It is.
no, it's really awesome. I like that we have instructors like you that combine the physical well-being, mental well-being, and also like the actual skill and technical
Yeah.
side of things into one. That's really
It's all
exciting.
relevant. Again, synergy.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
the sum of
Yeah.
all is
Good deal.
important.
Yes. 100%. And sorry, go ahead.
No, it was fine. I had a revelation the other day,
Okay.
and I shared this with my wife. And because I've always been this, like I said earlier, this hyper gypsy person that's never okay with where I'm at. So I'm always bouncing around. I have struggle with enjoying living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always rushing myself. So that's where my performance really suffers, because I've always got myself in a
Okay.
rush. My absolute best knockout performances I've ever done was cold, not caring. I'm like, let's just see what I got, man. Just do the thing,
Yeah.
and like, boom, I'd like nail it. I'm like, what? I wasn't even trying.
Nice.
And Raleigh was like, yeah, because there is no try. It's just do. I'm like, okay, Raleigh.
Mm.
All right, I heard you there 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, I was like, there's two places. There's two times and places that I fully live in the moment, have a smile from ear to ear, and there's no place I'd rather be. Like I'm in the moment. I'm loving life. And that's honestly at church, worshiping God with my wife.
Mm.
All right. That's where I'm getting refilled and revitalized, re-energized. And then on the range teaching, not
Mm.
my own performance, not my own practice. Cause I do it because I need to. Right. But I don't find that much enjoyment in it. All
Yeah.
of my living in the moment and my enjoyment is being in front of students and helping them really actually learn, have those aha moments, see their measurable gains, and then, weeks afterwards, still talking to me like, man, I'm doing my homework. This is working. Like I'm setting PRs every
Mm.
week now and things like that. Like, so I need to, you were saying understanding your purpose in life, all right, where you're meant to
Mm.
be. That's me, honoring and worshiping God, especially with my wife, and then pouring that back into my students. So I've
Incredible.
just I'm glad to have finally made that realization, that aha for my own self, like truly understanding who
Yeah.
I'm meant to be in life and my
Yeah.
true calling.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was beautifully said. It sounds like you've done some really good introspective work in your life, and I'm a believer.
Hmm.
So totally get that. There's something about like as that connection with God, and this is like not a topic I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever talked about on She Shield, but um, you know, as that connection deepens with God, like I definitely find myself being more introspective of like my life as a whole, and my purpose, even with like my own students and the firearms classes, and it gives a lot more meaning to it than there already is. So
Hmm.
totally actually relate to that, and it's nice to kind of like bring that to the surface a little bit. And if you're listening and you can't relate to that, that's totally fine. It's whatever it is for you. If that's just
Still love you either
introspection
way.
on the level, exactly, yeah.
Hmm.
If that's like
Yeah.
psychoanalysis of your life too, if that's what that is for you, that's great. But yeah,
Fun
thank you
fact:
so much for sharing that.
I was an atheist until I was 2018.
Really? Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
I come from a journey of understanding and living and stepping in those footsteps.
You
So
definitely do.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And you remember,
Exactly.
God doesn't call the qualified. God
Mm,
qualifies the called.
I like that.
Yep. He qualifies.
I'm gonna have to think about that
He
one.
who he calls. Yep. So
Yeah,
I don't remember what part of
I
scripture
love
that is,
that.
but I remember my pastor preaching that many moons ago, and that just always stuck in my head.
I love that.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's incredible. Well, thank you for sharing that, and I'm glad that you have a good relationship with that now. Sometimes it just takes an event or a person or a calling to get there. I
Hmm.
think it says a lot when you've come from a place where you weren't in tune with that and now you are.
Right.
There's a
Yeah.
lot to be said about that. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's awesome. You really do have that holistic approach. So
Yeah.
that's incredible. And um, for those that, not to pivot too fast here, but I do want to make sure we give it a little attention. For those that don't know what the Guardian Conference is, would you be
Hmm.
willing to speak to that?
Yeah. So to the best of my ability, right? Because
Yeah,
I'm not part of the like concealcarry.com team per se. I'm just an affiliate and ambassador, I guess would be the best
sure.
title for that.
Yeah.
So
So
Riley
this is
Bowman,
perfect.
yeah. So Riley Bowman
Yeah.
and Jacob Paulson, they are business partners in many brands, the main one being concealcarry.com. And they wanted a conference for gun toting, defensive minded civilians, right? Well, you don't have to be a civilian. You can be law enforcement, military, right? That like, cause
Right.
we're here, we're here as well. But that's their core belief, like making sure civilians exercise their right to carry in a responsible, guardian style of way. Like the guardians of our nation, of our families, of our core beliefs, so on and so forth. So it's a big training event. It's 3-day
Yes.
events. And it's in Oklahoma City Gun Club, Oklahoma, obviously. And there's a buffet, if you will, of instructors there that have all been vetted by the Riley and his team. For those who don't know, Riley Bowman has been a cornerstone in the training community for many years, and so his opinion and life lessons are I hold them to a very high standard, and
Yeah.
I believe every word that comes out of his mouth because he is that type of guy. You can trust anything he says. So anyway, he has
I
put
second
together,
that.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
he has put together a 3-day event with some of the best instructors there are out there. It's not just shooty stuff. You got some martial arts mixed in. You got some classroom stuff. I'm not super familiar with all of it, so I don't want to screw that all up. But
No, that's okay.
yeah, you can just go to the Guardian Conference website and look at all that stuff. You can also access it and sign up via the synergyshooting.com website as well, under the
Mhm.
partners page. But yeah, so I don't misspeak or mess anything up or, forget to mention someone and their feelings get hurt. Just go to the
No, that was
website and
great.
look at, yeah.
There really are so many instructors.
So
Totally
many.
fair. I'm sure
Yep.
even if Riley was on the podcast right now, he'd probably be like, "Oh no, did I miss anyone?" Just because he's very caring. But
Yep.
all of that information will be linked in the show notes, so that will
Yeah.
be available, along with all the information on how to get in contact with you, Tyler,
Hmm.
and your website and your specific. If you have a page on the Guardian Conference, I think they just list all the instructors out, but we'll
Okay.
definitely have a link to that. So
Yeah.
whoever listening, if you're interested, I think they have a promotion going on right now. If you sign up this early, since it is in September, I think
Hmm.
it's less expensive right now. So if that's something that interests you, definitely check that out. Um, I have loved this conversation. I love your
Me
teaching
too.
philosophy. I've loved hearing what your plans are for this year as well. And I mean, just imagine where you'll be 5 years from now. You are like aggressively trying to fix some training, I think, I
Gaps.
guess just,
Yeah.
yeah, training gaps. Thank you. Oh
Hmm.
my God. Yes, that's the word. Training gaps. And I'm excited to see where that goes. For those interested, please check out his website and socials. I'll link all of it below. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about today that we didn't get to? I want to make sure that we covered it all.
I think we did.
Okay.
Man, I have I try to give enough of each little thing that I wanted to talk about and be respectful
Yeah.
for time and the fact that I speak almost at the speed of auctioneer kind of helps, but it may have
No,
some
it's
people,
great.
you know how
I'm
people listen
used
to
to
podcasts at like 1.25 or 1.5?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
nobody listens to mine that way.
No, okay, okay. I'm thinking my family is Cuban. Half of my family is Cuban,
Oh, really?
and they speak at the speed of light. So to me, you're speaking with like a normal in a normal like
Pace?
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm following very well, but it might be because I'm used to that.
Yeah.
And they think I speak like super slow, and I'm like, no, man. Like people tell me to slow down all the time.
Yep.
And so I think it's relative, but I don't know. You've said it a few
Yeah.
times, so I want to address it. I don't think you're speaking too quickly at
Oh,
all.
thank you.
I think you take your time when you talk, and I think that's good. Because I sure as hell don't. And I was telling I think I was telling Caleb Giddings today on the podcast. My grandma used to tell me that we have 2 ears and one mouth for a reason, and I swear I still hear her voice in my head like every time I talk. So I'm
Yep.
like, did I
Yep.
take long enough? So
Yep.
you've got a nice cadence, and it's easy to follow.
Appreciate
So
it.
don't do that to yourself. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to come on and tell your story and tell your philosophy. Before you go though, is there
Mhm.
anything you would like to send the listeners off with?
Yeah. Go figure out who it is that you are and be okay with it. Like whatever you think you're trying to be, stop it.
Mhm.
Just be yourself. Because I promise you, I'll respect you way more. Your wife or slash husband will love you way more. Just be yourself. It's all good, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just think of there's like a TikTok trend going around right now. Not to downplay what you said. That's
Oh,
incredibly
you're fine.
important. But on like a funny note, have you seen the trend where it's like someone's like they're stressed about the email they sent and then they zoom out and it's like Google Earth and they go from like their house to like the atmosphere to like the earth to like the Milky Way and it's like relax, and it's
Yeah.
like just be yourself because like everything is so
Yeah.
um short-lived anyway, all that stuff. So
It
anyway, no,
is.
you make a very good point. That's a great place to start. And as someone who literally quit med school to enter this industry at 23, that's definitely something I wish someone would have told me. So thank you for sharing that. That's very
Yeah.
important. Tyler, I'm so
Mm.
excited. I get to see you not too long from now, although like September does feel like it's forever away, but we're going
It's
to
gonna
like
be a blink of
literally
an eye.
blink and it's going to be
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Yep.
literally.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And out of accountability, just to tell you this, my Lisa and I are training for the tactical games, and
What?
um, I say that knowing that I could barely do a freaking like ring muscle up like one of the scaled versions today in CrossFit. So fingers crossed. But we are training for that. And that will be in September as well. So basically it's the Guardian Conference and then South Carolina Tactical Games are like the week after
Oh,
that. So
cool.
I will hopefully, you were talking about your rifle class and I was like, damn, I wish that was sooner.
Yeah.
Like the Guardian Conference was sooner so I could take that like well before the tactical games, but maybe I can jump in on it. I'll have to see what my schedule is, but
Just let me know when you want to do a Zoom, and we'll I can hook you up with
fuck yeah,
some dry fire rifle stuff. We can make sure your
I would
rifle is
love that.
kitted out, ready to go, and I'll
God
just give you
bless.
some cheat codes on manipulations because
I
I've
would
seen
love
a
that.
lot of people lose a lot of time and a lot of placements just off of poor
Yeah.
manipulations. They're not moving the gun
Yes.
efficiently. They are way too slow when they're not pulling the trigger. Two
Yeah.
gun shooting is my jam. Like I
Are
am,
you
I
for real
am.
right now?
Yep. Yeah. Like I'm the dude to chase
Okay.
whenever we show up with rifles and pistols. I
Okay.
suck with just the pistols because everybody else is really good with just pistols. But as
Yeah.
soon as we add a rifle in there, yeah, it's game on. You're
Okay.
everybody else is hunting for second place.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank God. I actually texted Mike today, Seeklander, and I was like, hey man, what should I do in the live fire app? Because I need to start training rifle stuff. And he
Hmm.
he told me about one of the courses I should look into. So that's kind of where I was going to start, but I would love some more one-on-one stuff. So I will
Yeah.
absolutely reach out to you.
Oh yeah.
And I'll share that as well. Yeah, we'll talk more about that, but thank you
Perfect.
so much because
Sure
Lisa
thing.
and I were on the phone the other day and we were like, what do we do? Like, where do we start? So, and we're both like limited time wise. She's a doctoral student, so this would be really cool to
Oh,
connect
these
on.
smart
So
people. My
yeah,
wife has a master's and all y'all got,
she's
like
incredible.
I don't even have a bachelor's. I was a mechanical engineering dropout as well. So
Hey, don't worry about it. I literally cannot say anything. I did my undergrad for the purpose of med school, so I mean, I feel
Yep.
that. Dude, I think about alternative timelines all the time, and I'm like, what would have come of me, like from me? Sorry, I don't make any sense. What would have come from me? Anyway, I'm not even gonna English at this point.
Does it
It's
put you
late,
in this
everyone.
weird third person perspective and like you can start
Yes, and I'm
seeing
like,
like, oh man.
what if I had dropped out earlier?
Yep.
What if I had jumped into the gun industry earlier? Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
I could have been further along by now. And like I don't like to
Oh
think in the
man, I
lack
battle that
mentality.
all the time because I just turned
Right?
34 yesterday, and so I'm
Okay.
like, God, like all these people are like Christian Seiler has I don't know how many national and world championships, and the dude can just now legally buy alcohol. I'm like, what?
Man,
Dang it!
if
I need a
it's a
time machine.
dangerous game. That's
Yeah.
dangerous, man. But if you also think about it, it's like, would you have man, we could go in this forever,
But
but
then you start
like I
then
think
you start
about
feeling bad because you're like, I don't know, God's timing's perfect, and it's almost like
exactly.
I'm like trying to say I would know better than he does, and it's like,
Yep.
oh, I'm sorry, never mind.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fall back in line here. Yes, I totally feel that. I think it's normal to wonder.
Sure,
I
yeah,
think that's part of it. But yeah, it really makes you kind of appreciate where you're at, and it's just all relative. I think you're exactly where you need to be. I think
mm-hmm.
this episode is um, evidence of that from your background of tutoring, your spiritual background, physical background. It's all led to this one point, and now you're just trying to get it out there and tell people
Yeah,
about it. So sounds like
absolutely.
you're in the right place at the right time. So
Just
but
trying
it's
to
easy
spread
for
the
me to say.
gospel. That's it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Tyler, so much for coming on. I really, really, really appreciate
It was a
it.
pleasure. Loved it.
Thank you. I'm so glad. Awesome. And if you're listening and you want to see the entire video of this episode, I really should start saying this in the beginning. You can go to our YouTube channel at She Shield Pod. I'm like realizing that right now. We now have full video as long as the videos take. They normally do. You can also see episode highlights made by Lisa on Instagram and TikTok at She Shield Pod. Also some YouTube shorts. We are getting back to repurposing it there. Also on the Livefire app. All resources mentioned, including how to find Tyler, will be linked in the show notes, which are the notes below the pod. If you like the podcast, you can help by liking, subscribing, and leaving a review, guys. Even just hitting those 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on helps so much. I don't know about you, but whenever I find a new podcast, whenever I see them have like even like 100 reviews, like I know that means people liked that podcast enough to go like it and rate it. So please take just a second to do that. If you or anyone you know is a firearms owner experiencing a crisis, look into holdmyguns.org. They are an organization that will connect you with a local gun shop or FFL to store your firearm for you. The link to access their website and to find a storage location partner is available in the show notes. Thank you for listening. In the meantime, stay safe and stay vigilant. Are you ready to step up your shooting game? Introducing Walkers Incorporated, the pioneers in ear protection for shooting, hunting, and commercial applications. For over 25 years, Walkers has been revolutionizing the industry, ensuring your hearing safety and enhancing your shooting experience. Anytime I'm on the range, indoor or outdoor, I use Walkers ear protection to have crystal clear communication with my fellow shooters. I currently use the Silencer 2.0s and the Razor Slims for my range adventures. Not only does Walkers protect your hearing, but they also protect you. Being able to communicate with others on the range is vital to personal safety. You shouldn't have to sacrifice your safety when the ultimate goal is for overall better self-protection. With Walkers, you'll experience unparalleled comfort, unmatched innovation, and the industry standard in shooting ear protection. Never settle for anything less when it comes to your safety and enjoyment on the range. You can save on Walker's ear protection and support the podcast by using code SHESHIELD. That's SHESHIELD at checkout.